To our viewers, welcome to Globespan 24/7. You would have noticed today being Wednesday, not Monday, that Dr. Rose and I are on, because we have a very special program tonight. And tonight will be very educational. We are not talking about the PBP or the PNC or APNU. We want to bring to you, our viewers, some great detail, the areas that you can contribute to in our local government election. As you know, local government election was announced to be held in March of 2023, and the date for nomination is coming very close to an end. So it is very fitting tonight that we discuss how you, your audience, can get involved in the elections of March 2023. We want to thank Noir Singh for making this platform available, and of course, Devian Bisu, our technical specialist. Tonight, to help us carrying on with this conversation are two prominent Guyanese. One we know, well, both of them we know very well. We have had Mayor Arundel on this program many times. She, as we know, is the mayor of Linden, and she's also the chair of the Mayors Association. Mayor Arundel, welcome to the program again tonight.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much. Always a privilege.
Thank you. And of course, on the other side of Guyana, on the Eastern Bloc, the former Prime Minister's rep in Berbice, Mr. Harban Goberjan. Mr. Goberjan, welcome to the program.
Mr. Harberjan, your mute is on.
I think we're getting some, okay, so we're trying to get Mr. Harberjan back on. So tonight, as I said, with me, of course, on a Wednesday night is my co-host for Monday night, Dr. Rose. Dr. Rose, welcome.
Thank you, Charles, and welcome, Mayor Arundel, or Worship. It's a privilege to have you on this program.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mayor, by the time Mr. Gobin Harberjan is getting reconnected, we want to inform our audience, as I said, tonight will be a very educational program. First thing we know that in Guyana, there are 10 municipalities, and we have 65 NDCs, which are the local democratic organs or councils. What in your knowledge, what are some of the conditions or criteria that need to be established in order to set up a municipality?
Okay, so again, good evening, and good evening to all of the listeners. So there really is no criteria. Those criteria come from central government in terms of how we should set up. But definitely a municipality will be based on the number of people you have in a specific space. And if there's a need for the municipality based on its size, whether it can become an NDC or a municipality managed by a council. There's no given guidelines per se, but it would allow for, while the number of persons, the size of the community and the services that are being offered. So you'll have in the vicinity, you may have schools, health centers, hospitals, those central core things happening in the area, because most times, if you note, all of those municipalities are like the city centers for the region itself. And that's why I think in 2019 or so, they created municipalities in places like Mabaruma, Madia, Letem, that became the central area for the region. So an area that provides most of the services that should be offered, or that's being offered in Georgetown, but now coming at a smaller scale in an area to provide for the region, allows them to develop that municipality.
So it's more of a caption area like an unofficial capital of the region.
Right. It will be the city center for that region and should provide the major services needed. So as not to allow the persons from those regions to have to travel to the city for the basic services.
And I know the conduct of a municipality is administered by the Municipal and District Council Act, Chapter 2801.
Yes.
As we know, the first council, of course, was Georgetown, and then we had New Amsterdam, and then Linden was added, and Corriverton, and then we had Rose Hall, and then we have the others coming on stream. What are some of the essential duties and responsibilities of a municipality?
All right, so municipalities' role are very, very large. However, what we've seen over the years is that those roles have been reduced as some of the services has been sent back to central. But really the municipality should govern all of the things that are happening in the space that they have jurisdiction over. That is, they should be managing all of the schools, water, light. They should be overseeing the hospitals, garbage collection, environmental issues, street lighting, repairs to roads, drainage. All of those services comes under the municipality, whether it's pound, abattoirs, all of those are municipal functions. And what has happened over the years, however, those functions have been diluted, more so because municipalities were unable to garner the funds needed to support those. So some of the areas are gone. Even sporting centers, every sporting facility or open space within a region falls under the municipality. So it's very, very wide, the work that municipalities should be doing if given the opportunity to.
Right, it's more like representing the government function in a smaller local communities. So you talk about solid waste management and disposal of solid waste, maintenance of roads and bridges and buildings, maintenance of those buildings, protection of the building, markets, and as you say, abattoir and all this sort of thing. And as we said in other programs, and this one, we're not going to get into that revenue generation, but generally, the municipalities were given the responsibility to levy and collect taxes sufficient to take care of those functions that they're supposed to be doing. But as we said over the years, that has not been happening because of the low rates of rates and taxes and so on. But that's a different arrangement we'll talk about later. So those are basic responsibilities of a municipality. Welcome back, Mr. Harbachan. I know you have a problem with your internet connection, but we are talking about municipalities and NDCs. And I know you're not in a municipality per se, you're more involved, well, not involved, but with the NDCs. Are the NDCs a replacement of the old village council that we knew about?
Yes, you hear me clear, Charles?
Yeah, we hear you clear.
Yes, it's a replacement of the old village council, and the function of the NDC is more of the looking after the interests of the people within X and Y constituency and the responsibility of improve, the livelihood and drainage and irrigation. Like the mayor from Linden say, they do have some responsibility and that fall under their jurisdiction and control. But one of the things that's been happening. That's another story by itself.
Right, and as we said, there are 65 local democratic organs. That replaces 65 village councils we had in the British time. So what we did is we changed the name from the city council, village council to NDC, while at the same time we brought in 1980 with the local government organ, we established the 10 administrative regions. So we are putting a different layer now of governance. Before that, we had the 3 counties of Demerara, Berbice, and Essequibo, right? In the 1980 Local Democratic Organ Act, that act established 10 regions and the NDCs. But the NDCs did not come into full effect until 1994. There was still village council prior to that, according to what I've read in the news. Are there any different functions that the village council would have done that is new or different that an NDC currently do?
Charles, I think in 1994, that's when the last local government around the time would have been held for NDCs to be more responsible for the function and collect rates and taxes. It was a little bit different from prior to that, but the system was set out, as you mentioned, from the 90s come down. It's a good system. Local government is a good system. Local government and central government is two different bodies, and it's the local government supposed to be the bottom tier, executing the job with the responsibility with democratic elected councillors, and that would have functioned more independently. But somewhere along the line there was a breakdown, and then the hiccups and the complaints, and the system is not at that level which would have happened in the 80s and the 70s. It's totally different now.
Okay, Mayor Arundel and Mr. Harbajan, if you can speak up a little because we're getting you a bit low. But Mayor Arundel, the municipalities, they have their councillors, but the CEO of the municipality is a town clerk. Is that correct?
Correct.
That has not changed.
No, that has not changed. The town clerk is the CAO, the chief, what do they call it? Yes, the chief executive officer, and she's clerk to the council. And manages.
Right, and that town clerk manages the day-to-day affairs of the council, of the municipality. Yes. And the same thing, Mr. Garbajan, with the NDCs, the overseer is the CEO for each NDC. Is that correct?
Yes, but the mayor, I don't know if she mentioned earlier because I missed out. The overseers and it's basically like how we have an RU, it's like a PS for an NDC. The overseer, it's more looking after the day-to-day operation with the salary and staff. It's totally different from councillors and chairman and mayors. Their roles are totally different. They have all the act, and they kind of steer the council and the chairman what direction to go. So they are more on a day-to-day operation and how it should be function, and what are the rules or the boundaries of within the 2082 Act.
Okay, Dr. Rose?
Yes, Mayor Rendell, I want to ask you a couple of quick questions. Can you tell our listeners how the mayor of Linden is being elected? In Georgetown, the councillors will vote to elect a mayor. Is the same thing for Linden?
Yes, it's the same process across, and that is based on how the system is externally, because local government elections are not done based on your position, but more on a party level. You go in on a party seat. So when you get there, the councillors are the ones who elect the mayor within. And that's done every year.
How many councillors are in Linden?
16.
And APNU is APNU stronghold or the PNC stronghold. How many councillors APNU have in Linden?
13.
So
13 is up. No, 15. No, 13 and 2 and 1, right? 13 is up. No, 2 AFC, 1 PPP.
Okay. Now, can you explain to our listeners how many NDCs are in Linden? Yeah.
We only have one NDC, that's in Kokwani in Region 10.
Only one NDC?
Yes, in Region 10.
Now, as mayor of Linden, and as you know, mayors are part-time. You all don't work full-time. It's a part-time job. But how many hours do you find time to work as the mayor of Linden on a weekly basis?
Well, I think one of the good things for me in Linden is because I teach, I had the opportunity to be seconded to the office. So I get the opportunity to go in from 8 to 4 or beyond.
Oh, so, okay, because you're a teacher, according to what you're saying.
Yes, you can apply to be seconded to the office and they'll allow you to work from there.
Okay. Now, as you know, tell our listeners again, as my colleague, this is going to be educational. Your municipality, the mayor of Linden, what areas do you cover?
Well, we cover Linden proper, and that includes, this is in terms of space you're speaking,
Yeah,
communities.
physical size.
All right, so 52 square miles. And that takes me from Bamia.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead.
it takes me from Bamia to Wizrock. So I have 4 constituencies on Mackenzie and 4 constituencies on Wisma.
Okay.
So the communities inside. So if you need all the constituencies, 1, 2, 3, 4, each of them have about, let's give it approximate 5 communities within each. Some have a little more or less.
Okay. Now, what are your responsibilities? What the mayor does? Do you fix the streets in Linden? Do you tell us what you do as mayor? What are your
Well,
responsibilities?
well, at this point, what we do here is more of our focus has really been on garbage collection, repairs to roads, ensuring there's street lights. We have the markets to keep open. Um, we first used to do the carpet cleaning, but that's now been handed over to the RDC. Basically, those are some of the main functions. We overlook community centers and open spaces, and basically our day-to-day running, making sure building plans are passed, environmental issues are dealt with, burial sites are covered. Those are some of the basic things we do.
You have no control over the health system or the education system at Linden.
No control over health, education, police, water, light. No.
Okay. Now, Mr. Auberjon, give us a background of yourself. People might not know you, but they know Mr. Rendell because she was here before. Give us a brief background about yourself.
Well, prior to being politics in 2005, it was part of a group which we go around in different communities and form CDC, community development committees to work within the NDC to hold them accountable or to make recommendation because of what was happening. And I was part of that. Then I get into politics at 2005. I joined the AFC. Somewhere along the line, I ended up become an executive member, then a treasurer of the AFC. Then we won the election. I was the prime minister representative for 5 years, an RDC councillor for 5 years, board of directors, the Guyana Post Office 5 years, public assistance, vice chair, and the Kaisuku Skellen SCI board of director. Now I'm an activist for development and ID because I resigned from the AFC in August of 2020.
Are you an activist for the government or independent?
Independent. I'm an activist independently in which I come up with ideas, which I always do, and I'll share it with the top official in this government, and some idea they will look at it and some they will use. So I'm more of what's best for the people, and that's I always been that. Even when I was the prime minister, when I given the opportunity to serve in board.
Now, how many NDCs are in Region 6?
I think we have approximately 18 or 19, but no, sorry, 17 NDC, what I know. The other one I have question there. So we have about 17 NDC and an RDC and 3 municipality.
Actually, it's 18. But do you know Region 6 with about 107,000 people has more NDCs than Region 4, which has about 260 million people, 60,000 people?
Yeah, that's I always it always crossed my mind that a region as big as East Berbice with 18 NDC and 3 municipality, that would be equivalent to over 300 plus councillors, not to mention the 30 RDC councillors and what's in the municipality. And yet we have in major setbacks and problems for decades now. And it's sad that either government, whenever these officials visit Berbice, people are flocking them just for basic complaints. So, you know, one of the problems we have there is that we may have a good system, like Charles said, from the 90s around the area come down. The question is, the people behind the system is not a driving force, or maybe the wrong people. So we can touch a little bit on that, how we get to these people, if you want.
Okay, we'll touch on that. But it is said that Region 6, 107,000 people, an RDC, 18 NDCs, 3 municipalities with mayors, New Amsterdam, Rosalton, Corriverton, and the federal and the central government is the most governed region in all of Guyana. Yet, based on what reports from Dr. Omai, reports from yourself and others, Berbice, the quarantine has the most problems of all regions. Why is that?
Dr. Rose, one of the let me go back to the purpose of local government, if you don't mind. I just shed some light and I'll tell you how we get there. For me, and my personal take on local government election, is that the people would have the opportunity for democratic elected leader within the constituency to represent them at the NDC and within the constituency. Now, over the decades now, what you will find, I think we have 3 local government elections. Most of these times, I always promote that independent and civic society involved in being part of local government election. But what you will find, the 2 major political parties will also throw their entry in, and they will people within these areas across the country, wherever NDC is, will use their logo and run and the political ticket. So the people who have intention to run as a civic or as a group or independently sometimes got derailed, because you will have officials from both political party will come down on the ground and campaign for that X or Y individual. So the NDC is for me should have more independent and people from the groups to run for being councillors. As for the RDC, those 30 councillors, those come during the general election, where the RDC councillors will be selected. Again, the 2 major political parties, take East Berbice for one, will dominate actually all the seats at the RDC. So you have the 2 parties there again, and no independent RDC councillors. So,
okay. Berbice, you know, I'm from the quarantine myself, and I spent a lot of time last year and early this year in the quarantine area talking to people. And it's a PP stronghold. Actually, it's a PP stronghold where you find that Indians outnumbered blacks by almost 3 to 1. But the thing is this, a lot of people told me, and these are Indians, they said that, I asked them, why are there so many problems in Berbice now? And they said, when APNU was in office, they could not have complained because it would have fallen on deaf ears. But they're now saying, and I can't speak the Guyanese phrase, but now Abi government, and we need to solve these problems. So what they're saying in essence is that before APNU was there, they had problems, but they just buried them, because if they complain to APNU, nothing will be done. But now the PPs in office, they want these problems solved. Your comments on that?
I'm not. I think the perception of the first statement when APNU was in government that they fall on deaf ears. Dr. Rose, the region, most of the from the 60s or come back to now is always dominated by the PVP Region 6. Now, when you have 20 RDC councillors and then you have 6 APNU councillors sitting at the RDC, well, and then bear in mind, and like you said, the program is for knowledgeable, to people to get knowledge to the region control the budget. So who is the majority in the region? You will have an REO, a DREO, a regional chairman, a vice chairman. You will, and this is all from the regional level. You will have a works committee, a health committee, a sports committee, education committee. So these chairman for this committee is appointed at the RDC within the 30 councillors. So most of the time, the majority who dominate the RDC will be sitting on these committees. So central government expect the local government to put things on the plate and take it up to them at the top level, and it's whatever they send to them. One of the problem is that many people don't understand when budget time comes, the RDC will give each 30 RDC councillors represent 30 different constituency a form with about 8 pages or 10 pages, and then you go down and then you see what needs to be done within your constituency, and you will write that down because that's for budget, whatever street, Coca, bridge, or whatever it may be, a canal or a bridge of road. Same for the 18 NDC. They will also have this set form, but if the people who represent the NDC as councillors or maybe the RDC, I don't know what percentage of those councillors really understand what is the budget and how they do. So most of the time, I do a press release, and this I think was 2016. It's just a guess game, and they will just come up and just make it up a group of them and pass it. Because if an NDC complaining about streets and dam, and then every year you're doing a budget, well, you shouldn't be complaining because you're not functioning at that capacity. Bear in mind, Dr. Rose, is that every NDC also have a works committee. Beside the RDC committee, the NDC also have a works committee. So they are failing the system. So when people out there, the perception is, oh, well, when APNU was in government or when PPP was in government, they're not doing vice versa. It's all boiled down to the people at the bottom who democratically elect these people during local government election to represent them. That's where the problem starts. You put in people who can't even write their name properly. What do you expect to get?
Local government elections coming on March, I think, 13th. Except for New Amsterdam, the PP should have a clean sweep in the rest of the quarantine. Am I right?
No, I think my input is that the APNU always got, I think, 2 NDC, from the past 3 election around the local government, and the PP dominate the rest.
APNU will have the NDC in Eversham, Kilturn, Brighton, Lancaster, Manchester to Arcstyle. Okay.
And then you have Friarish, somewhere, I think.
So that's 3. So that's 3 NDCs.
Yeah.
So the PP will clean sweep. Okay. Now, Mr. Rindell, let me ask you the same question. Why is it that in Linden, you as mayor, it is difficult to get things done to actually help the people? Is this a constraint by the government or constraint by you from the municipality?
Well, there are several constraints, and I'll agree. Let's start with the local constraints. The fact that municipalities are unable to hire people with the capacity to do makes it difficult for us to do. And that does hold back in terms of our level to do. The fact that we don't have the finances needed to do is another detriment. And again, based on whichever political party sits wherever, things change accordingly. I don't think we have matured as political leaders to say that our role is just to serve. We're elected to serve. So regardless of if a specific area voter did not vote for you, that we would do. And so in cases, we have had things done and things not done. And this is regardless of political parties that sit in power. People still choose from at that level what they'll do and where they'll do it. And this happens only because there's not enough autonomy given. If municipalities are given the full autonomy they can, allowed to do what they can do without government, central government interjections, then I think we'll be able to do a little more.
What's your budget for Linden on a yearly basis?
Our budget is 324 million. I think we've budgeted for in the new year coming. Yeah.
And how much of that coming from the central government?
18 million.
So you have to find almost 300 million on your own. And how do you find that? And how do you raise that?
Rates and taxes. We have a toll booth. We have the bridge that brings some finances. We have the markets. We have the burial grounds, environmental levies. That's basically it for now. Yeah.
So the government only pumped 18 million into Linden. And is that been a constant 18 million or has it been increased over the years?
It was increased in 2016 or 17, but it has remained constant. It has something to do with fiscal responsibility, something to do with the budget, what we bring in terms of what we can get back.
Okay. Charles, over to you.
Madam Mayor and Mr. Harbhajan, as we said at the beginning, I really want us to focus a little, and I'm glad we get all this information out. But Mr. Harbhajan mentioned a good point there, Mr. Arundel, and you also mentioned a great point that I want us to discuss now. You mentioned that people who voted in these elections, local government elections, they're carrying the party line generally. The party comes in, they set up a slate, and then they go and campaign on the party line. And because historically we have had this racial problem in Guyana with the PEP and the PNC having the two major ethnic groups, it seems as though not seems as though it has happened that in the local level, where the democracy is really supposed to work, is also dominated by the political parties. And you mentioned, Ms. Mayor Arundel, that you're given basically a basket to carry water because the appointment of personnel within your municipality is done by central government. So your hands are tied and you cannot even elect a town clerk because the town clerk is nominated or sent by the minister and I believe the local government commission. So the municipalities are tied. Mr. Harbhajan mentioned that where are the business community, where are the civic component that should play an integral role in local government elections and in the administration of the municipality or the NDCs. So my question to both of you, what we have now is not working. Mr. Harbhajan just mentioned that in Berbice, Dr. Rose and him talk about 18 NDCs, 3 municipalities, an RDC, and still they're complain over complain. And I'm sure if you come to Linden, they'll have the same problem. You go to Region 3, the same problem. You go to Region 4, the mayor sadly couldn't make it today, the same problem. So we have established, without a doubt, that politics has really messed up not only the national government, but the local government. Now, Mr. Harbhajan, and Mayor will come in later on, I want to ask you, how can the local people in the NDC or the municipality get directly involved in being elected into their NDC or the municipality? Well, the municipality is at the national election, but the NDCs, how can they take charge of their NDC?
Charles, it's a good point you raised there, and I'm glad I take this opportunity to explain. You know, persons out there or groups out there who want to be a councillor within the constituency or represent an NDC throughout this country, All they have to do is to get within the constituency 20 to 25 backers' signature. They have a form, and then you once you have your backers' signature, then you go and you have a candidate form from GCOM, and then a register form, and then you submit your photograph, and then you register to run for your constituency. But most people out there, I don't think.
Hold on. If you don't mind, let's stop right there. So you're saying if Goben Harbajan want to run for an NDC councillor, all Goben has to do is get a form and get 20 residents in your NDC voters. They will nominate you or sign the form to nominate you. And then you go to GCOM and get a form and present your form as a candidate for the election. Is that correct?
Yes, you have to get your registration form, include your backers form with a photograph, and got a GP will notarize your those forms, and then you submit that with your photograph, and you will be registered to contest within your NDCs. And those people who are signing your backers list has to give the name, ID card number, and address. So they must be within that constituency area, so you can be compete in the local government election. But Charles, you also mentioned that we have a lot of NGOs across this country, and we also have private sector chamber of commerce. Let's take, for instance, Berbice again. I'm going to use that, as Dr. Rose said, it's the biggest and it's problematic. One of the most problematic region, and I believe also, I think I listened to this on many programs, that Berbice is a swing voter region. It's surprising that East Berbice got 3 chamber of commerce. These are businessmen and reputable people sit at this level, and many of these men are not. I don't know if they're not aware or they don't know how to go about or get people to run in this constituency to represent them, including them in their NDC, because sometimes these businessmen is complaining more than the local citizen too. But I don't know I can't read between them or how they do it. But what I find, I was a former member of the Upper Quarantine Chamber of Commerce for 7 years, and unfortunately I become a victim of that chamber, because I tried to renew my membership after the coalition come out of office, and for some reason they say they can't find my application, that I was never a member. And so I'm saying some of these chamber people, they are the same set of people, more like this is like a recycled set. Not all the chambers, you may have some new faces, but it's more like, I don't know if they believe by not representing or bringing things to the government attention, make the any better, or they toe in the line just to look good. But for me, as a former member of the chamber, I would have rather, if I see a road bad or a roof leaking at the government building and I highlight it, I don't think I will go against the government there. I will help them to fix it so they will look better. So I don't know if these chamber members toe in the line for benefits. I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
All right, we don't want to speculate, Mr. Garbajan. We don't want to speculate in who do what. But what, as I said, we want to make this known to all Guyanese. And for Guyanese who are listening to this program tonight, I think it's as clear as crystal. I don't think many Guyanese know that they can go and independently run for an NDC councillor seat. I don't think many Guyanese know that. Because they think they have to go through a political party. And you're saying, Mr. Harbajan, that is not so. They can run independently in their village, in their NDCs.
Yeah, Charles, that's absolutely true. And let me add to this. In 2018, an independent councillor from Port Morant, which is the group, the foundation of the PPP, the guy and I had several discussions, and he said that, well, you can't beat the PPP in Port Morant. And I tell him then that, give it a try. You never know how people think out there. And Charles, guess what? He run independently. I want a seat at Port Morant, clear as a whistle. And same thing happened within one of the largest NDC in the country, 5274. An independent group won a seat. So there is people willing to support them if people come out, or brave people come out and say, you know what, I will represent my NDC at the council level. But when you have educated people forming line to complain to ministers of a problem, I just look at them and smile and I said that you could have, ministers supposed to come to you, you got run to them because you don't want to take the responsibility, or maybe like you said, they not know. But now I'm glad that they listen to this program, and it's not too late for them to go do this. I think the list is going to be submitted next week, or I don't know if what will happen there, but they still have time to get this 25 signature within the areas, submit your registration list, get your backers, get going, and be part of it. And even to then, like Dr. Rose said, if the PPP do a clean sweep at 13 or 14 NDC, the PPP will be more happy at these NDC if they have 2 or 3 independent mind thinking councillor. They may not be the majority, but you rather than have all 16 councillors, which most of the NDC make up, you can have 2 or 3 independent mind, so you can have a little more ideas and collectively you can do things. So I don't think the PPP will mind people run independently. I don't think so.
Well, we are not here to decide what the PP or the PNC or APNU want to do. What we are giving the people of Guyana the opportunity and the knowledge to know that if you want, yes, you are Guyanese brothers and sisters in the different parts of Guyana, if you want to run for a local councillor in your district, your NDC, as Mr. Goben Harbajan said, all you have to do is to get the signature of, I think there is a guideline how many signatures you have to get, right?
It depends on the area. Most likely be 20 to 25.
So you get the names of the people, their registration number, their address, their signature. Can someone sign 2 persons list?
No, because you have a collective area. Let me say, like, we use 2 villages. Let's say I will use like Buxton or Liliendal. You can't
no.
because you have
in your NDC, can I sign a list that nominate you and Mayor Arundel if both of you are running in the same NDC?
No, GCOM will pick it up.
Only one list you can nominate, one person.
Yeah, because right, yeah.
Right, which is the right thing to do. But I'm just asking that just in case people might not know, they might go to the same person, no, you can sign this, when in fact you can only you can nominate only one person.
Charles, I also want to put the pressure on GCOM here. GCOM is that's their responsibility and their mandate to come on the ground and educate the people. What I am telling you now is not Harbijan job, it's GCOM job. Them is the one who's supposed to get handbook, pamphlet, and encourage people, not just sit back there and make decision and talk. You got to come down. If you didn't have the discussion, how does Tom Jones would have known that he could have run? That's GCOM job, is to bring knowledge to the people and tell them, here, you know what, you can run. It doesn't have to be a 2-horse race.
All right, and Mayor Arundel, as Mr. Goben was mentioning, I know you said in your region that you only have one NDC. And that NDC will be, of course, running for the election. Are you permitted as the mayor to reach out to the NDC to promote independent people to run for office? Will that be a conflict as the mayor of Linden?
It would be a conflict now because I sit on a slate. And that's why we need to encourage people to do independent. And I represent APNU as mayor of Linden. So it becomes, that's where the mix up and the issues become. People need to be aware that you can run independent, which gives you more leverage to step outside of the box. At some point while you're free, you still would like to maintain the guidelines of your party when you sit on local government. And I think that's where the issue is, but it's what it is for now. Hopefully it will change when more people realize that they can run these slates. And you know what's important for them to realize? You can still be in a party, you can still be voting for a party, but for local government election, you can run as an individual. but you can run with
Sure.
them in the national elections if you wish.
Sure.
But local government election, you can be an independent representative.
And that's the point we want to bring out to our audience tonight, is that even though you're a member of the PEP or the PNC or wherever, you're not a member of any party. And we're also appealing to the business community. I don't think people understand, Mayor Arundel and Mr. Harbhajan, and of course, Dr. Rose, that the authority for the NDC is really, really great. You are tasked with a responsibility to ensure that your NDC is managed properly. And you have an overseer, but the overseer reports to the councillors. The councillor give guidance. And if you have 12, 13 independent councillors and you're not dictated by your party, you will have a great NDC because you will get things done. And I want to encourage Guyanese. I mean, listen, the PEP and APNU, they can have their list too. It's up to them. But many individuals can run in their NDC, be independent councillors, and I promise you, your NDC will be outstanding because you will make independent decisions. You don't have to follow the dictate of a party, as Mayor Arundel was saying. So
if I may,
that's...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go on, Mayor.
I wanted to interject because it's important for persons to understand too. The cream of a municipality cannot just be people we pick up who are loyal to but do not have skills, and that's why a lot of local government organs fail, because we pick up people who are loyal, who will make the 60 or the 30 sign in, and we put them on the council, but they don't have the ability to aid in management. You need somebody with business skills to be a representative on your council. You need somebody with health. You need somebody with education. You need somebody with the ability to manage those areas, because that's what the council does. But if you take somebody, and I'll use myself as an example. I was just a teacher, and I use the word just simply. Now, when I become mayor, I understand the dynamics of what the council needs. We need an economic committee, which requires me to now bring in ex officio members, bring in members from the public to sit on that committee. But what if the makeup of the council was people in your town and NDCs that had the skills, ran for the elections, and took those seats? So now you have the educated people with the ability to sitting on your council. And there's two parts they need to understand. There's the constituency reps, and there's the first part, the post reps. And it's important that we remember that the constituency reps are you, who can be independent. The other one comes from the party lineup. So you can run independent based on the skill set you want to bring to the council. If you are a businessman and you think that the council needs some guidance in terms of how it will manage business within the township, you can run and take a seat on that council and make those changes. And that's what we need people to understand. Come with your knowledge and then help to transform.
And I'm glad, and I hope Guyanese who are listening tonight will take the opportunity. And this business community, and I'm glad you mentioned the teachers. I want to talk about that. Maybe in the NDC, there are teachers living in the NDC. Why aren't teachers running independently to ensure their NDC is run effectively? There are nurses in the NDC. There are business people in the NDC. There are self-employed people in the NDC. There are senior citizens in the NDC who have outstanding record, who are retiree maybe. They can contribute so much to the running of their NDC, but yet they allow the political parties, the two big parties, to come and dominate it, and nothing is done. Mr. Harbhajan, Mayor Arundel mentioned a very important issue here I want to raise with you. I don't know if you know the answer. In each NDC, there are constituent seat, and there are top-up seat as well, like the national election. Is that correct?
No, I don't think you have top-up seat there now.
There's not a general seat, and then there is special constituent seat?
No, not at the NDC. Remember, within the boundaries of the NDC, the divided constituency. So either you win or lose. So
all the councillors in NDC are constituent elected, not overall for the entire NDC, like a national
right.
top-up line.
Right. They represent the constituency.
Okay.
What they win.
I was told something differently, but I'll take your advice to that, because I was told that there is the specific constituent within every NDC, and then there are some seats that is overall, that is elected based on the number of votes cast, but that brings in political parties rather than the individual. And that I need to get some answers to, if that is exactly what the case is. But having said that, anyone can run for a specific constituent within their NDC. And that is what we're encouraging tonight for all of you teachers, your nurses, your business people, your professionals, your retirees. Please take up the challenge. Let's put politics aside for local government. Let us develop our own local government body, the NDC, and make it a hallmark for your country, because the NDC takes care of the cemetery, of course, the drainage, the irrigation, the secondary roads, and quite a bit of things within the NDC. Who else can best do it except those who live there and knows about it, rather than, as Mayor Ardell said, a list of party folks who get elected as councillors. They don't know crap about anything. They're only elected because they're part of a party list. That does not work. It has not worked over the years. It's not like they're working in the future. But the Guyanese, again, it's up to you. Dr. Rose?
Mayor Rendell, I want to ask you this question. How long have you been mayor of Linden to date?
5 years.
Okay. Can you tell our listeners some of the major obstacles that you have encountered or problems you have encountered in managing your portfolio as mayor?
Well, I think some of the difficulties is being able to carry out your function without wondering too much about political affiliations. And I think that's one of the things that holds a lot of mayors back, because sometimes you have to think twice what you do based on the party you sit on. I think I've had more leverage on the APNU AFC because they allow us to give our ideas and we're able to move forward. But we also have a lot of issue where we didn't have people with the know-how to help us guide the council forward. A lot of councillors we've had did not come in with specific strengths that helped. We had some that we had to parcel, and then you had to find where you could fit persons for this strength. So for me, it was a lot of external support, being able to pull persons in who had the ability to help guide the council along in terms of planning for events, activities, and management. And then, of course, we're not here to talk a lot about politics, but politics does play a role in terms of how you're able to manage, because if you're not getting the finances, if you're not getting the support from central government, it hinders you in terms of moving forward. One of the good things about Linden is that we've had the support of businesses. And so a lot of the projects done in Linden was done by the businesses support system, persons reaching out, persons in the diaspora reaching out, that allowed a lot of the things that needed to happen. So I guess for me, it would have been the level of all of us who went in, based on each of us went in very green with no knowledge of local government organs, and it had to be a learning curve for everyone. And that took a very long time for us to get off the ground and to find our footing and then decide these are some of the things we can do. And because I find municipalities do not have control over lands, a lot of the investment can be stymied because the process to do it, the ease of doing business is not there. And a lot of the stuff has to go back to national and then come back. And a lot of times we lose a lot of things based on that running around. So there's much that needs to be done so that we can definitely have an opportunity to move faster and more effective.
Mr.
I
Arbujan,
remind you that there is a local government commission placed to it. I don't know if you're aware of that.
And there is the local government commission that really, really affects how you manage, especially with the staff, because I find when you have, it's just like in your house, if you have two parents and they're not saying the same thing, the child finds the one that will take their side. And that's what the local government commission has become, where you're doing one thing, but the administration is listening to the commission. And So the administration is supposed to do what the council says, but the commission is sending down rules and regulations from above, and then you're in a battle with your town clerks because you're trying to say this is what the law says as against what. And I always say, whoever pays you, whoever feeds you, that's the person you'd like to, you know, put your loyalty in. And so that truly is a setback for any. I hope that we retain old councillors on the new council that's coming up, and we don't get rid of everyone, because to restart this system is going to be tough, because we need persons who will understand how to manage the local government commission in terms of knowing when they have the buck and they have to stop, and so you can get a better work out of your administration. The other things too, if I could quickly put in, and what I found, we have had a mix up in how, and I believe it's general. I believe the ministry does not fully understand its function. The commission sometimes oversteps his, and so the local government commission oversteps theirs. And I find that causes problems. For example, a letter coming from the minister really supposed to only make contact with the political arm of a municipality, but they're sending direct instructions to town clerks. So those are all of the things that needs to be cleared up, that needs to be set in place if municipalities and local government organs are going to advance in any way.
Okay. Mr. Auberjon, up in Berbice, I was made to understand that in a number of the NDCs, there are power struggles between the overseer and the chairperson or chairmen and women. Now, I would be the first one to tell you that overseer is such a British old colloquial term. It's not time we get rid of that word overseer and use something else, either a CEO or something, overseer. You know, we know when bookers existed, they had overseers and so forth. It's a colloquial British term. But the question is, who has the power in an NDC, the chair or the overseer?
Because of the local government commission in place, I strongly believe, or I strongly will recommend, and I hope my belief is not wrong, I think the overseer, well, like, you don't want to use the word overseer, I'm agree with you, we should start with managers or some other word that have the final say, because if the councillors is going to pick politically and does not know much and expect the overseer to steer the ship, well, then the overseer should have the final say. But in cases like this, you will find the power struggle within, you go for the municipality and the mayor too. If the councillor at any NDC felt that the overseer step in his boundary, or we don't like him or her, they just, at the next statutory meeting or the NDC have, or municipality, they can move a no confidence motion and pelt him out once with the recommendation go to the local government commission. So those are the things we have to watch. So a lot of these overseers may not able to do their job because they have a cloud over them. I don't know what, oh yes, there is a power struggle within overseers and chairmen. So most of the time you find the chairman and the overseer have no alternative than to piggyback with the chairman and survive.
Okay. Now, apart from the NDCs up in Region 6, tell us about the other organizations that are there, like the Water Authority. Name the others that are there to manage the system.
Oh, well, in the Berbice is predominantly agriculture, and I believe that we have too many agencies having the same responsibility. Take, for example, you have the region, you have the NDI, which was in NDI, you have the Water Users Association, you have the region have an agriculture committee, and then you have you know, all these things you have there. So what you have, Dr. Rose, is that overlapping responsibility, and when you have these things, it's become a breeding ground for corruption. Once you have an overlap in responsibility, or there's too much people in charge of one thing, it benefits certain people, and it's a disadvantage for the real man at the bottom who's supposed to be benefited. I did a press release once, and I called for the Water User association to be abolished and let the region or the NDI take control, because hundreds of millions are filtering down there and disappear. The question is, who will look at it, and where or how? Everybody depends on central government. I'll give you a good example. The vice president, on one of his outreach a few months ago, this is the level of I should say private sector, local people, or some of the reputable people within community, or people who sit on committees, approach the vice president at the Tagore 63 High School there during an outreach, and tell him that number 63 beach need a washroom. Now, the vice president answered in a form way and said that I am in Joshua and worry about national issue. Are you asking me here about a washroom at 63? So you get what I'm trying to come. So the responsibility, no one know who responsible for what. Maybe they do know, but then if you're gonna approach the vice president to make a washroom at 63 beach, then what that would tell you the level of where we're headed. So if persons are designated, or you have an agency responsible, then let them do manage, not micromanage, because you want a machine to go to 43 village, then the NDC says, well, I can't do it. You have to call the region. The region says, well, okay, hold on, call NDIE or call the CEO in Georgetown. And in most cases, the agriculture minister will be bothered for little small things. So
you're saying there are a lot of confusion. But
yeah.
From my visit of Berbice time and time again, there's so much divisiveness in Berbice. And I'm going to say two people I'm going to mention their names, and they're sowing the seeds, and the government should look into this. One is this one by name Indira Jafar Ali. She's going about telling people when she got things to share out like hampers and so forth, this is only for PPP supporters. It's coming from the government. And she should not be saying that, but no one is correcting her. And this other gentleman there, Abel C. Ram, is the same thing he is doing. But the thing is, the government officials are not aware of what's going on the but they're sowing the seeds of divisiveness among PP supporters and non-PP supporters. But let me ask you this question. President Ali's One Guy initiative, which I support, I think it's to bring the races together to make sure no one left behind, and I think it's good. Even though it's not perfect, people should get involved and help to make the corrections as they go along. How seriously is this being taken up, Berbice, Mr. Auberjohn?
It's a good initiative, what His Excellency set up, the One Initiative, One Guyana initiative, and I fully support that. But what you have local level politicians, the local one at the bottom, I'm not saying at the top. They set out on a mission. They believe that if one was from other political party, or you were in another group and you did not part of their group, well, then you'll be labeled, as I mentioned what happened in the private sector with the chamber with me. So if the educated one is doing that, then you have the uneducated one. What these people don't understand, to win a majority in government, you need all on board or who you can convince. So you can't say this is for these supporters or that supporters. You're going to have problem there. I don't believe the government one guy initiative is going too good in Berbice at this time.
Ms. Arundel, let me ask you the same question, Mayor. I know Linden is a APNU stronghold. How is President Ali's One Guy initiative taking shape up there?
I really don't want to comment on this, but I want to ask a question. Well, any which way, I really want to ask what One Guyana means. Because for me, it meant meeting everybody at the level, coming to what it is we all intend to do, and then everybody is doing the same thing. I find that the One Guyana project seems to be coming from one direction, being managed by one direction, and being controlled by a few. And so I do not, and this is me personally, do not see it as One Guyana. If you have not met all of your leaders at the local level and say, hey, this is a One Guyana project that we're doing in every region, in every town across Guyana. Let's all sit down together and let's plan what the program will be, then it's just a program with a name. But that's my personal view again. I don't feel as though we are a part of the One Guyana program. But I've seen events and activities occurring across Guyana where persons are involved in that. I've seen concerts, I've seen men conferences, and then I think now I'm seeing football. So I myself am not fully aware of what the One Guyana project is. I'm not actually seeing a plan or a definition of it. So I really can't speak to it per se.
Okay. Now, my other question to you, Mr. Arbourjean, if you were to advise the government about how to settle the conflicts in Berbice, because I know there are many conflicts in Berbice, the government can't run away from it. I've been on the ground, I've spoken to a number of people. The conflicts in Berbice are many, many, many. What would you tell the government, or how would you advise the government to settle these conflicts?
It's very simple. You know, in politics, you have to look after the people that work short during the time to get you where you're at. I believe shelve some of them, find something else to do where they qualify. University in Berbice is here. Go get some graduates, put them in some of these positions, and you got 2 more or 3 more years for election, and your result will be on a positive note. The way it's going, it's not in the best interest of the people. Maybe for them, it's the best interest of some of them at the local level. It's not working. And you have graduates applying for jobs, and they have to go for a person who is appointed who never even see a high school doorstep. So what do you have? The world shift. You have modern technology. You have this day and age. You have computers. You walked into some of these offices, and them guys doesn't even know how to turn on a laptop. So how are you going to get growth? But if you go to some other region, like maybe Region 3, I was impressed, and I see Region 5 is getting there. But as far as East Berbice, we still with this donkey cat system mentality. So the government need to start look at some of those people. Maybe they're good at certain things. Put them where they can do more productive on what they're good at, and find the right people. We have qualified people. I want to add this to as we on it. Let's take, for example, with the One Guyana initiative that you mentioned, and what happened lately with Dr. Ramaya and the whole fiasco with cybercrime. In politics, or any politician, or any campaign team around the world, words will fly. People will call him. That's the nature of politics. A man is before the court, and RDC councillors, who is represent the PPP at that level, I find it strange that he took Dr. Ramaya to court rather than would have take his complaint, because he represents the party at the highest level, to the party rather than go to court. Now, what you have? You have a court battle going to go on about Gilbaka, Corey, Green Mango, and Cow Milk for cybercrime. I find it the local level politician is going too far, and they don't understand the damage they cause into their own party.
I was made to understand that there's a small clique controlling Berbice, but this is no good for politics on either side. The reason for that is that local government elections are coming on. What, in your mind, Mr. Arbourjean, local government elections will do to enhance anything in Berbice?
If it's the way it's running now, it would enhance anything. It'll remain the same until we get some more independent person. You know, I'm not blaming the government or the opposition here. We need more independent councillors to come out, run for the constituency, man up to the table, and try to win a seat. You may not win the whole NDC or your municipality, but your voice will be heard. And take a good example, what happened to a guy like us when I was at the RDC. It was 9 of us, and then you have the government side was 20, 19 or 20. But Dr. Rose, one of the approach I take there, I know I could not get much done if I fight. because they design you to fight each other down there. But I changed my approach. If the PPP puts something on the table and it benefit the people, I support it. If I put something on the table, it benefit the people, I expect them to support it. So I had changed my approach. So I believe if one or two independent councillors in these municipality or NDC, just go there. You may be outnumbered 15-1, but trust me, your voice will be heard. One of my strengths during those times was the media.
Mr. Rendell, Mayor Rendell, I'll call you Miss. Let me give you a title. You said there are 12 PNC councillors or APNU councillors in Linden. Do you get along with all of them, or some of them oppose you in your policy proposals?
So far, we have a very good relationship, and that came over a lot of years. But I think there's always opposition in the midst, and like I said, there must always be opposition. You can't always be right. So there's always a few, but I think what we've been able to do with the council is we have caucuses, and we do a lot of talking. Before something is going to happen, everybody's aware, and we all move forward on it.
Both APNU and the PP said Linden should be the gateway to the interior. Are you seeing this happening?
I love words. When we speak words over our lives, it eventually happens. I think there have been strategic moves. We have seen a transition in Linden's economic flow. We have seen the increase in tourism, and we have seen a passion for persons to start trailing Linden. So now I think what we need is the businesses to come along. With the start of the Linden to Lethem Road, we're hoping that it brings a transition and persons start to see how we can diversify the economy and improve. So I think it has started.
The government has given out a lot of house lots in Linden. How is that helping the people?
Well, everybody needs house lots. So I guess it's a good thing. House lots are always good. We just need communities. We don't need house lots alone. We need fully developed, designed communities, well-paved roads, and drainage, not just houses.
Charles?
Mayor and Mr. Harbhajan, we have 50 minutes more in the program, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to tell us what would you. Now, Mayor, you're a mayor. You're elected on the APNU ticket, and I don't know if you're permitted to go outside of your purview of being an APNU personnel. But Mr. Harbhajan is independent, so he can really say exactly what he wants to see. Start with you, Mr. Harbhajan. Quarantine Region 6 have 18 NDCs. Are you prepared to work with each NDC there to go and, because you being a Prime Minister rep for 5 years, you have known people across the region. Are you prepared to go to each one of these NDCs and try to galvanize some independent minds, the business community, the professionals in the NDCs, to get them to start thinking of these independent seats within the NDC?
I've been doing that, like I mentioned, I was part of a CDC Community Development Council, and I did farm. It's funny that 2 years ago I formed a group to work along, and because to get the NDC to do what they're supposed to do. And a few people went and destroyed the group because they felt that because I came from the opposition when I was with the coalition, and that was so. When they do that, it's derail people like us who are trying to do it. But that's why I call on GCOM to take the lead and that. Charles, I also want to add, and this is for if all the mayors that was watching, and also all the NDC chairmen and overseers and councillors that watching. The government is doing a lot of infrastructure around the countries and within your constituencies, such as streets and culverts, etc. You're talking in the billions of dollars. Each NDCs and municipality have works committee. It is important that, and there's no one can tell you you can do that. I'm telling you you can do it. Is that register GRA, you go register your NDC, your municipality, and bid for some of those contracts. Rather than the contracts going to some people who never have a hammer or wheelbarrow, you can bid for some of those contracts, make some money for your municipality or your NDC. Because who can do it better than you at the NDC level, rather than a guy come from Essequibo to come do a street in Alnes? So I would like to see that happen. That's the only way you.
Hold on. That's a different discussion, Mr. Arbiter. That's a really excellent point you raised here. I didn't realize that is a possibility. Are you saying to the NDCs across Guyana that if there's things to be done in the NDC can actually submit a bid for that work? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because remember, the NDC local government election is the NDC is slated to run democratically independently with the guidance of the ministry and the region. So what will derail them to buy 2 HIMAC, and rather than contractors for emergency work? The NDC have the machine. Give them the money. Let them make the money, rather than every year government has to plug in $5-6 million subvention to 8 NDC in Region 6. Multiply that time 5 million. How much you got? How much machine you can buy with that? But when you have people sit there and they're not using, I mean, like I said, I branded myself as an activist for development and ID. And these things, what I'm telling you, I share it on both sides and inside, and whoever. For me, I don't care who do it. Once it get done, Dr. Rose can tell you, was a battle with this all-weather road at 58, where we're supposed to be. I stand my grounds, I get some costs, my mother get costs, Dr. Rose gets some costs. Rafiq, the chamber president, and these are things we put ID today. The all-weather road is a reality which will benefit thousands of people. So you need more independent people like us. We will go out there and talk the talk, but then you're gonna have, like Dr. Rose mentioned, a few names there. They will go on Facebook and dry you up and put all these type of things.
Mayor Arundel?
Could you please repeat the question for me?
I know Mr. Harbhajan mentioned some things here. I don't know if the municipality can do that, but if central government is giving out tenders for work in the municipality, is it legal for the municipality to bid for those contracts in central government?
Well, based on the 2801, we can bid for contracts and we can go into contracts.
You can.
Just have to do with your council's ability to manage.
Okay, so let me stop you there, Mayor Arundel. You're aware that 2801 give you that authority. Has the municipality of Linden ever bid for a contract from central government for work to be done in Region 10 municipality?
No, we have not bid for any contract because most of those contracts we do not have the capacity to fulfill.
Well, you can buy in the skills to get it done, Mayor.
You know what?
You can also.
That's an indictment on the mayor and our councillor.
You know, you may say so, but you have to have an avid staffing that will help you manage these things. Because as you know, the council touches nothing as it relates to finances and project. It's just
Mayor Arundel, sorry I'm cutting you because we're running out of time, but I can tell you this. Nigel Hughes prepared a list of contracts given out by the current government, and he was claiming that most of the contract is given to the supporters of the PPP. Now, or something to that effect. Now, what I have done my own research a little, and I've seen that, and I want Guyanese to understand this, please, Guyanese, they're not given to all PP supporters, a small clique, not the whole supporters. But I've seen a lot of people who gets these contracts, what they did, they form companies, so they hide behind the company. So in law, there's something called lifting the veil of incorporation, which courts always do, so to know who the real owners are. So these people form companies and then they bid for the contract in these companies, but they know they have inside information and they get a contract. Billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. And they don't have the technical skills to do it. But they buy it in. They buy in the skills to get the work done. And Mr. Harbhajan raised the point there, and I'm surprised, Mayor Arundel, that the region have not taken advantage of that, and other municipalities, I don't know. If the
I don't
NDCs
think we
can
ever.
bid for contract and the municipality can bid for contract, then go ahead. That's a source of revenue that you can get. And as Mr. Haran said, you know best what is needed and how to do it in the region.
That's true. I just think we've never
I'm
played
going to
around with
charge
the
you for
thought
this
in our
advice
head.
now. I'm going to charge you, send a bill to you.
Charles, you see, it's a good program you get to tonight. What I put out there is things I said as I always try to keep when I do release here and there. Many of those people who are listening tonight, they will pass it on, so they will hear that I touted here. I also wanted to say, if we are going to go down the path and depend on central government to make decisions for all these NDC, I will change my approach and say local government should only be for municipalities and let the region close down the NDC and manage it from there and get two clerks to do the rates and tax collection if we're going to go that path. So what I'm giving information, NDCs and municipality can make all that government millions and enhance themselves and get better offices and get better equipment and better, rather than go spread on bag and jewelry, we call it, and go beg for central government for money. Manage your own affairs. The law and the clauses there, make use of it for all who's listening.
And Mr. Representative, I'm so glad you raised that point up. And Mayor Arndale, I'm sure she's going to start doing that to our councillors now. But what I'm saying is that if independent members run for the NDC, they will do exactly what you just said there. Because they're the businessmen, the professionals, the teachers, the engineers, whoever formed that council, they know what to do to build wealth. And that's what business people do. That's why I'm surprised that the business community don't take on that responsibility, that challenge to be part of their NDC. They will transform their NDC into great place to live. And I hope they take your advice. And that's why I'm glad this program tonight, as we said, is all educational. And we hope that those Guyanese out there who are listening, please listen to Mayor Arndale and Mr. Harbhajan. Go out there and represent your community, be an integral part of your community, and develop it.
Charles, let me add here, right? I mean, as Dr. Rose said, Borbis is big and it's problematic, but we have so much resource here. Take, for example, the number 63 beach fall under the 5274 NDC, which is one of the largest in the country. We don't need central government to tell us how to farm 63 beach committee. The NDC can use that as a money machine. What I did, I don't know if you saw it in the press, when the investor them came from most United States and Canada, another part of this world. They say hello to the Excellency when he was in Carverton, and we raised the topic, and I was there. I took that whole 63 beach with over 100 million US proposal to the Central Quarantine Chamber of Commerce, and then you have a group of people at the bottom was against it. This is not supposed to be a group of people. Okay, this is supposed to be the NDC because the beach fall within the 5274 NDC, so it's other area. Develop the beach, make money. You can't wait for central government to tell you to go make a washroom. So these are the things we have. So sometimes we quick to blame central government, but we the people keep looking up to them. We got to change we approach. You need independent mind of these NDC. I mean, you may not get all the council, one or two, but Charles, sometimes when you bring ideas, you get all these names and columns, because sometimes some people don't like to hear the way forward, like this day and age, right? We still doing public that announcement with PA system road, and we are slated to be an oil-rich country. You sleep in a hotel, 5 o'clock in the morning, a man wake you up, he announcing some doctor appointment with PA system. So we have to change that, take out all the politics out of the police station, take out all the politics out of the local level, and like the president say, well, Guyanese must start to learn to do the right thing.
Good point. Dr. Rose?
Yes, Mr. Harbhajan mentioned police stations, but as I said again, a lot of police officers are Borbis. People commit crimes. They cannot charge those people because that small clique have political context according to what was made to understand. And they call people and they call the police officer, the officer in charge, and to tell the officer, drop those charges. Now, you cannot have interfere with the justice system to that extent. And I think it's about time the government rein in these people, because they're not doing well for the municipalities or for the NDCs.
or for the party.
This, the 18 NDCs in Berbice, everyone is saying they're corrupt because contracts are given out to a group of people only. Now, my question to Mr. Arbajan is this. How do you get rid of corruption from those NDCs?
The REO has a responsibility. I know there used to be a DREO. I don't think they appoint one. And I keep asking why there is no DREO in the region. The minute you appoint a DREO, Dr. Rose, the DREO will then responsible for all these NDC municipality overseers or office bearers to give them a weekly or monthly report. The previous government, prior to 2015, there was 2 DREO the PPP even have there at East Berbice. The coalition government may have 1. I think we only, no, they have a DREO, right? Now we only have an REO. So when you overload the workload and the REO for the region, remember he in charge of that thing, this is where the slide is going on. Because if not, if they don't fix these things, then Berbice going to be a breeding ground for corruption, and that's where it's all started. And then he linked to police and he linked to office, you know, GRA and everything. And as you said, I don't know how much central government know what some of the mischief some of these politicians at the local level is bringing to the system. They're not helping their own political party when you do that. Call policeman to lose that man, and if the policeman didn't do it, next thing you know, you get transferred. I'm very bold about it. I mean, I had discussion, commanders go, commanders come. This, you know, for the past 12 years. I was in the station management committee for 17 years. And what I see sometimes is bothering me. You know, you're going to have a guy who go drive with 5 tractors on the road and he's going to put his hazard up front as if he having a motorcade and drive these tractors with hardly any fitness or anything, with mud in it. And they will not going to get charged, Dr. Rose. But let you drive with your number plate, get a crack or something, you be pulled over. A combine will pass and dig up the whole goddamn road without a low bed. There is charge for that. Now, we cannot want to build a country and we want to look like Dubai, like they say. How are you going to do it when your own people is not helping you? The government can't do everything.
You said there is some progress in Linden, which I agree. There are some progress. But what is the unemployment rate at Linden right now? Do you know?
Well, I know we've had a reduction in it because we have had over the past couple of months several new hiring. So I cannot give you a percentage at this point. I know we were at 28%, not 28%, 28% employment rate last time. But I can't give you specifics at this point. But I know we've seen a decrease in the unemployment rate.
Okay. Now, you did mention earlier, and this is going to be my last question.
Dr. Rose, yeah, we are wrap up now because we're coming at closing time.
What industries you're looking for to come to Linden? Just name a few of them.
I haven't wrapped my head around that as yet. I know what we're really trying to do right now is to open in the tourism industry at this point, in terms of our hotels, and because we've seen the increase in travel to Linden, but not the accommodation, hotel and industries, and we are looking at the creation of spaces we've seen an increase in, what do you call them? Not just vendors, but we've seen an increase in certain types of businesses. So I know we're looking towards creating those spaces to accommodate the growth in the businesses in Linden. And that's going to be 5 spaces.
You know this question is going to come. Are you seeking another term?
Why? No, I'm not at this point. I do believe I've spent a lot of time and I will take a step back. I believe I've learned so much in local government that I think I can use it to better serve outside at this point, and maybe in the next couple of years I'll run again.
Okay, Charles.
Thank you, Mayor Arundel, Mr. Harbajan. Anything in closing? A minute, 30 seconds, Mr. Mayor Arundel?
I think it's just to say, unless we can have constitutional reform, unless politicians can realize that we need to remove politics from local government, it's going to be a long road before we see any great change.
Well put, because the politicians dictate what the people do, and the people don't seem to be independent on our own. We look forward to the politicians to direct us what to do, and you're right. Which one come first, the chicken or the egg? I'm not sure. Mr. Harbajan, anything in closing?
Yeah, I would like to encourage all the NDCs across the country, municipality councillors, that government is doing a lot of infrastructure work, developing ideas to community. Come on board, and if you can't serve at the capacity you're elected by the people, resign, give somebody else a chance. Don't be a deadweight to your community. That's all.
Well said. Dr. Rose, anything in closing?
Yes, retirement age, we should increase that to 62 years old. Higher salaries and wages for
65.
public servants, teachers, nurses, policemen. According to Charles, they should start at least $200,000 a month. I'm saying 150, but he says $200,000 a month. We need better internet services in Guyana. And finally, I think President Ali's done something there with his One Guyana initiative. Not everybody agree with it, but I think they should get on board and get involved and to see what adjustments can be made to accommodate everybody. It's a start, and I think it's good. So we should all support it. It's the first time we're having something like this, a One Guyana initiative. And if we try to improve it, it will do well for all of us in Guyana. Thank you.
And I want to thank you, our audience, for being with us tonight, of course, in Nohara and to Devin. And I hope you learned from our program tonight. And I hope, take the opportunity, please, go and run independent for NDC. It's not too late. You still have time for nomination. We don't know when the election is going to be held. I know there's a matter in the court now, maybe to delay it. There might be extension for registration and so on. So we are not even clear right now. But still take it as if the election is on March 13th. So go out there, get your names registered, get your list, go out and run independently in your NDCs. And I hope, and you will see for yourself, in 5 years' time, your NDC will be a really powerful place and a beautiful place to live in because of you, independent councillors. So again, we're going to thank Mr. Harbajan, Mayor Arundel, Dr. Rose, and to all our viewers. Good night. God bless our great country of Guyana.